Oh, Sunday. Oh, Monday. Oh, Tuesday. Oh, Thursday.
To you. Hi everyone. Thank you for jumping back into my channel with me on Peaceful Living with Miranda. Now, I love working with kids and parents with learning about managing emotions and behavior because I know what the help that this is for kids and for parents learning how to process their feelings and their emotions in bodies and mind. And if you're a parent and you're thinking, no, I can just process my emotions in my mind, I'm telling you that it is not helping as much as you think it is, and you're probably holding them in your body as well. Okay, so that's what I do. I help encourage mums in particular to do the same as their kids and learn how to move those emotions through their body, as well as have lots and lots and lots of strategies to manage that so you're not yelling at your child all the time. We all do it sometimes, but so you're not doing that as the standard thing and then feeling that horrible mum guilt that comes with it. Okay, so basically I'm a teacher, I'm a life and stress coach, I've got positive psych and trauma-informed studies and all this sorts of stuff. And with my clients, I focus on emotional health, healing, stress relief, emotional regulation, and nervous system calming. And I also do quite a bit as a result of this with gentle parenting strategies, because understanding your kids' emotions is actually like the basis of gentle parenting strategies. All right, so I'm also the host of the Mum Wellbeing podcast, and I'm an author. And there's a free mental and emotional health printable pack for you in the description below, and all of the links that you need to check out, including my books. Okay, so I'm an author. You can check it. I'm a fantasy author as well as a self-help author. So if you want to check out some of those things, please check it all out in the description. Are you ready to jump actually into the topic? Emotional exhaustion recovery is what we're talking about. Have you felt this? I'm assuming you have. If you have searched this up on YouTube, then emotional exhaustion recovery techniques are what we're going to be talking about in this little 10-minute or so video. Okay, now, do you need to, or you know that you need to, stop this emotional exhaustion? You know you want to start recovering from it now rather than let it get so far down that you can't function for weeks at a time. This emotional exhaustion is a huge problem with almost every single mother that I speak to. Okay, because we've got things like work, we've got things like looking after kids, we've got things like neurodivergent kids sometimes, we've got trauma already, we've got, what else have we got? We've got just being a parent of one or multiple children. We've got things like relationship issues potentially in the middle of that. We've got dealing with ailing parents. We've got potential learning if we're back at school as well. And often mums have got a side hustle, right? Whoa. No wonder we're getting emotionally exhausted. And also, if you chuck screens in there as well and trying to keep up with social media and keeping up with the Joneses, that is actually ridiculous. That's a ridiculous amount of things to expect one brain to keep up with. Okay, and I know exactly what it's like because I live in that space as well. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing 3 simple tips and a few bonus ideas on what you can do to start your emotional exhaustion recovery, even as a busy mum. Okay, I'm a busy mum. I can do these things, not always. Okay, yes, but some of these things, all of these things are things that are very, very useful. And I hope you walk away even just with one really, really helpful tip that you can easily slot into your life to start to refresh yourself. All right, even as a busy mum. All right, so here we go. How to manage emotional exhaustion recovery as a busy mum. Now, just as we get started, really, because we're about to go into it, number 3 for starters is the most important. Just before we cover 1, 2, and 3, stick around for 3, very important, is that we also need to be aware that mental health and emotional health is not just in your mind, okay? We need to get out, if you're struggling, please get yourselves checked for hormones, get yourselves checked for thyroid, get yourselves checked for liver function, magnesium levels, gut health, vitamin levels, things like that, because a lot of the time these things are really having a major impact on your mental health as well, or they may even be the cause of issues with your mental health and emotional health. So if you are struggling in lots of different areas and you're not sure why, it's worth going to see a functional nutritionist or someone like that to help you out in order to help you go, oh, this has helped so much with some of this stuff. Okay, so that's just a side note that please be aware. I talk about this all the time, but bodies are very important in emotional health as well. It is not just about your mind. Okay, gut health has a massive impact on it. My family, I know this in my family, okay, and I also know this in, working with my clients as well. First tip, first thing that you need to remember when you're doing emotional exhaustion recovery, that's so hard to say. Remember, it's not a 2-day set and forget situation. You did not get into this state in 2 days, and you won't be able to get out of it in 2 days, right? So let's be gentle with ourselves. Let's make sure that we understand that. Let's think about this from the long game. Okay, if you're emotionally exhausted, you're probably feeling it in every moment of every day. Okay, I know what it is like. Yes? Burnout. If you're nearly at burnout, which is when you're emotionally exhausted, burnout's like the extreme version of that, then you are feeling it in every moment of every day, and it doesn't feel like it gets much better. You think, oh yeah, I'm just going to have, a sleep in the afternoon. It doesn't necessarily help. Okay, it will help in some way, but a huge part of being able to emotionally heal, being able to heal and start that coming back from that exhaustion, like coming back up the hill a little bit, is to see the small benefits and wins as you go along. So that's what this is all about. Tip 1, really, really, really all about making sure that you go, yes, it's going to take a while, but I'm going to really take on board the small wins, the small benefits, the things that we are happening every day or every now and then. As I go along, I can see that I feel a little bit more refreshed. I can see that my mental health sort of score has gone up a little bit. I can see that, the other day my kids were at me all the time. I did not flip out when I usually would. I saw that I had the energy to be able to go and sit with my child who couldn't go to sleep last night instead of just getting super, super, super frustrated. All right, some of those things, those small wins, okay, as you go along are they're absolutely crucial that we realize them, that we celebrate them as we move forward, because this contributes to what I call the success motivation cycle. It means we experience success and then we are motivated to keep on pushing forwards because we go, oh yeah, okay, this is actually working. This is actually working. All right. So as part of this, I often have my clients rate their mental health. So basically to go just out of 10, what do you think your mental and emotional health is before we get started? Because often we get better so gradually that we may not even notice. And then we might not be trying quite as hard. We just go, oh, nothing's working. Hands up if you felt like that before. Okay, so tip 1, celebrate your wins and extend some self-compassion to yourself. You're allowed to take a few minutes to get better. You are allowed to take time to do things. You are allowed to be excited about it. And you're also allowed to feel flat about it. Okay, extend some self-compassion to yourself. Look at yourself maybe as a child that you're looking after and go, you know what, self, it's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Okay, and again, you're doing better than if you weren't doing anything to improve yourself. All right, so that's tip number 1. Be aware that it's not going to take 2 minutes and to have compassion on yourself whilst you are going. All right, let's jump on to tip 2. Dopamine. Who loves talking about dopamine? Dopamine is one of the feel-good hormones. Okay, it's a great thing to have, but, and you probably know what I'm going to say, mums everywhere are secretly, or maybe not so secretly, feeling the constant mum guilt. Now, it feels like a bit of a tightrope just between judgment, guilt, trying to deal with all the things all the time, and we feel guilty, which is actually quite silly, but we feel guilty as a result of not being able to complete everything we need to, do everything we need to, and be there for our kids at the end of the day, let alone ourselves, our partners, and the rest of everything else that we're supposed to be doing. So I decided to address this issue head on, and I've written an ebook. It's called Stop Mum Guilt: How to Stop Running/Ruining Your Mental Health with Mum Guilt, and all about how I stopped it as well. So if you want to find out more about that, it's an ebook. It's on Amazon. You can find the links around my channel here, wherever you look, okay? And if not, look in the description below because I always pop it in there. It's super, super, super affordable, and I'd love to hear what you think about it. So it's called Stop Mum Guilt, and it's written by me, Miranda Hodge, and I hope it helps you out. See you soon. Dopamine from screens, specifically screens, can cause addiction. Now, we've probably heard about this when it comes to kids and iPads and all these sorts of things. Dopamine from screens is not necessarily good. But as a mum, as a mum, and especially when I was a stay-at-home mum for such a long time, nobody who is literally getting all of your social interaction and your mental stimulation from your phone wants to stop. So you don't want to be told that actually this thing that you feel like is your ticket to survival with the outside world, you have to stop that. Okay, no one wants to be told that they have to stop their phone. Everyone goes, no, I'm not too bad, whatever. But it's a really true situation that you need to be able to limit that. All right, I completely understand that it's hard to, cut off your survival tool. All right, and it still feels like that to me sometimes. Like, let's be honest, it still feels like that. But our phones can and do create an addiction, and this can lead to some really interesting consequences in our brains. So if you can do a screen detox, if you can go, I'm only going to scroll for 15 minutes twice a day, if you can do one of those sorts of things, then it's going to be so helpful for you to start reducing that emotional exhaustion. Allow yourself to look around. Allow yourself to take on board a little bit of beauty, natural beauty. Allow yourself to think about other things. Watch the expressions on your children's face. Do some of that sort of stuff. Okay, go for a walk without your headphones on. Some of that sort of stuff, very, very, very helpful, and because it allows you to be restful in the outside world. And this is something I struggle with because I've got such a busy brain. But when I do it, when I walk the dog and I don't have headphones on, or I'm not doing something like that, my brain is processing the day. It's processing what's been happening. It's processing things that I forgot about last week that I suddenly went, oh yeah, this happened. I think about that now, unintentionally, but my brain is having the space to start processing and healing through some of the things that I haven't had time to think about yet. All right, so that's very, very, very important. So let's do that. Let's try and make sure that we can keep our screens under control, because we're actually in control of them, and we can teach our kids that we can survive without a phone permanently attached, and therefore they can too, right? And if you're at the same stage of life as I am, with kids that are getting a bit older, I really want to be able to show them to that's possible. Okay. First, and why is this such an issue? Why is this such an issue? Why are phones such an issue? Why is social media such a problem? A major, major, major cause of the current level of emotional exhaustion sweeping mothers, specifically mothers, because that's who I work with, is information overload and expectation overload. So if you are copying information overload all the time via social media or your phone, if you are copying expectation overload all the time via social media or your phone, as well as, in life, obviously, then it is huge. Okay, because your brain is constantly trying to keep up and constantly trying to play into new ideas of how I can keep up, and how, thanks for all that information, I'm going to store that and log that. Okay, that is the constant subconscious whirring of our brain going and going and going. Okay, so that's the sort of thing, that's why it tires our brain out, and it means that we cannot actually be peaceful. And then when we get off social media or get off our phones, our minds are used to going so fast. And you've seen this in your kids. I'm sure you have. I've seen it in mine. Okay, because it is actually an addiction, and it's an addiction to thinking fast as well. Okay, so important that we get on top of that dopamine addiction. Okay, now, just before we jump into number 3, again, as per usual, I would love you to follow somewhere where I am. I'd love you to check out peacefullivingwithmiranda.org if you would like to find out more about sessions with me or anything else that I do. I would also love you to subscribe to this if you would like to, and rate my podcast if you would like to, because that would be so helpful. If you jump on the podcast, love to invite you. Take this opportunity to like and subscribe to my channel or to my podcast, whichever one you are listening to this on. I'd love you to take this opportunity to like and subscribe if you like this content or if you're getting anything from this. And let's keep going. All right, number 3, emotional exhaustion recovery. Create small habits that don't require much brain effort to maintain. So in other words, don't create some hectic new menu that you have to food prep for. Don't tell yourself you have to drink 3 liters of water every day and go for a walk once per day and spend an hour meditating, because that's way too much. Okay, emotional exhaustion recovery is all about being gentle with yourself, being able to do what feels right, and also push yourself a little bit when you need it. Okay, and it's about having patience with yourself, which is one of the hardest things of all. But it goes back a little bit to the start. Like, this is not going to be a 5-second reset, right? So actually give yourself some habits, give yourself some little things. If you've read Atomic Habits by James Clear, then habit stacking is like you stack a habit on top of an already existing habit. So for me, my habit stack is in the morning that I have successfully stacked now, is in the morning I have a cup of coffee. But before I have a cup of coffee now, I was like, I need to drink more water because I really needed to. I'm going to have a cup of hot water before I have coffee. Not that hard, not that difficult. But now that I've stacked it, super easy, because pretty much every day I'm like, yep, quickly have a cup of hot water and I feel amazing after it, just quietly before I have my coffee. And it also means I drink 1 less coffee a lot of the time, which is fantastic. Okay, so be patient with yourself. Make sure that you actually bring those habits in a way that is achievable for yourself. And again, that's something else I've talked about on my channel so many times. I have talked about that so many times because people need to. We need to be calm and peaceful with ourselves. We need to give habits we can actually achieve to build that success. Okay, and I've talked about that on my channel when it comes to kids and their success, and I will continue to talk about it because it's so important that we don't just go, oh yes, the way to heal is just to give myself 1,000 more jobs to try and heal, because that's actually not what it's about. Find what refreshes you, find what helps you be peaceful, find what actually makes you feel calm. Okay, and if you're not used to being calm and you don't know how to be calm, then maybe you need to contact someone like me that's around you, or you can contact me and we'll have a chat about it. All right, so lots and lots of tips today, lots of fun, interesting tips that we've been sharing. Okay, so let's just quickly run through them again. So we've got, be aware, emotional exhaustion recovery is not a 2-day set and reset, and you need to have self-compassion for yourself. Okay, number 2 is that dopamine does feel good, and it's good, but dopamine from screens constantly is not good. Okay, so if you've got a dopamine addiction from screens, and don't just deny it straight off because you don't know, okay, then it can feel like your survival tool. It feels like what you need every day. It gives you the right amount of mental and emotional social stimulation, but maybe you just need to put it down for a little while. Yeah, so here's your just little heads up that maybe it's a good idea to just stop yourself for a bit and just set an alarm so that you can put it down. Okay, and number 3, create small habits that don't require much brain effort to maintain. So create things like, things that you can do quickly, things that you can do easily, things that you can go, oh yeah, that's so simple for me to do. Take a deep breath, drop your shoulders. That is literally one of them. To calm your nervous system down a bit, take a deep breath, drop your shoulders. Okay. Every time you stop and think and become a bit self-aware, take a deep breath, drop your shoulders. It's not hard, but it's a really good way to start bringing your system back down and calming your central nervous system. And as a result, start to calm your emotional space and give yourself a little bit of rest. All right, because that's what this is all about. All right, how do you do emotional exhaustion recovery? Is it something that you want to know more about? Is it something that you know some more about? And you can pop things in the comments, or you can send me a message and let me know what you know about it. All right, love to keep the conversation going. Other than that, have a beautiful, amazing day, my friends, and share this with someone who you think might need it, because this one is like completely rife at least in the Western world where I am working. Okay, there are people everywhere who are in that emotional exhaustion, and I'd love you to share it with them if you think they can get something out of it. All right, other than that, have a beautiful, beautiful day and see you soon.